Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning live on Channels Television. Now for commodities market update, we have Juliet Adenuga, Head of Treasury at Financial Derivatives Company, joining us right here for the first time in our brand new studio. Great to have you.
Thank you, Larry, for having me.
Yeah, so I've been seeing a lot of volatility, you know, with this commodities market. Looking at oil now, we're seeing it below $100, and I'm hoping that it stays below $100 because that transcends into lower energy costs. You know, we've been seeing rising energy costs, which has been stoking inflation now. So what's driving sentiment in the oil market right now?
Okay, I think the culprit for now is the bill passed by the U.S. Senate on Sunday, the $750 million tax, health and climate bill. You know, it's also called the Inflation Reduction Bill. You know, because the oil sector or the global oil market is very, very sentimental. It can be driven by just speculations. It can be driven by perceptions or expectations. Those are enough to drive the market. And we also know that inflation figure is going to come out for U.S. probably sometime down the line this week or early next week. And already people are already speculating that there will be something less than what they had, the 9.1% of June. So if, for instance, it gets to that point of, maybe, I don't know, we don't know yet what it's going to be, but imagine if it gets to, if we see like 8.8%, that will just show a kind of, you know, restoration of confidence in people, or by people, or people trusting more that there's going to be a change. We have to understand that in developed economies, futuristic, or let me say expected inflation, counts more, makes more impact, or is more recognized than historical, because they always look forward and they expect something better. So with what's happened, that this bill passed now, there is hope. The people have hope. They are expecting that in reality, that it's going to tap down. And we know already that there's been a little change in the price of gasoline from 5 naira a liter to 4 naira. So that is in dollars. I mean in dollars. Yeah. It's already a positive sign. So people are hoping, are expectant, you know, with the outcome. Let's see what the inflation rate will be when it comes out and see. It's going to show, once there is a kind of reflection, it might not be very major, but that's a sign that there is a positive change and something is going towards the right direction.
Right, and that 5 naira per liter would be a dream I would like to see actually happen. If that happens, that would be amazing. I'll be filling my tank with just
5 naira.
That would be incredible. But, you know, looking at this market now, you know, we saw that, you know, impressive jobs report last week talking about the U.S. How does that play into, you know, the Fed's upcoming, you know, decision? Because it's almost showing like, you know, we might still see, you know, good demand for oil in the U.S.
Yes, that is what is happening. We have to understand that already there is that hope that things are going to get better. That is why the price of oil, you know, started, you know, inching up immediately, because people are already expecting that with this bill passed, it means that there's going to be a change in so many indices that had, you know, pulled this inflation. If exogenous factors start to correct themselves on their own, that is a very positive sign. So it is expected that with the inching up of the price in oil, that is a sign that people are expecting that there will be more jobs. They're expecting that you know, people will be needing fuel to drive, to go to work, or like, you know, people will also be needing, companies or, you know, employers of labor will be needing more of gasoline or diesel for their operation. So it's a sign that there is like a kind of, the word is still there, the recession. It's not as if it's eroded, but there is a sign that things are getting better. There's an improvement.
Yeah, we know what recession fears actually do to the price of oil, which would actually bring it down
further.
But we don't want recession, so
we don't.
It's so much going on there. But now, bringing it back home, now we see Nigeria, OPEC increased our quota to about 1.8 million barrels per barrel per day. But we're seeing, you know, we can't even meet up, you know, with the existing quota. How are you seeing that?
Okay, I'm really seeing it. It's really sad, because this is the time, let me put it this way, at the time that most natural resource or oil-dependent economies in Africa in particular, let me use Africa and MENA, Middle East and North America, those resource-abundant nations had to deal with some particular bad elements that we are peculiar to them, like the resource curse, the Dutch disease. You look at things like institutional decay, rent seeking. Those are issues inherent in natural resource dependent or abundant economies. They have been dealing with this over the years. It's a pity that now that there's this price, this benefit from the price rallying around oil, Nigeria is nowhere to be found because of our personal, internal issues that we've not been able to deal with over the years. We've had this increase over time. It's not today. This last meeting is not the first time. They keep, inching us forward. This is about 30,000 barrels per day increase. It's always been there, but we're still on 1.3 million barrels per day, and we have a limit of 1.83 million. We have a shortage of about 500,000 barrels per day. And this is just because of we hear ourselves talking about things like vandalism of pipelines in the Niger Delta alone. I was made to understand from an article that we have up to 200,000 pipes vandalized in that region alone. So you get to see things like oil theft as an issue. People are stealing this oil. People are refining this oil. There is also disinvestment from that sector. Major players are more interested in going to invest in capital, going into capital expenditure in some other countries like Kenya around. Nigeria is beginning to be neglected because of the major insecurity issue we're facing. It's very difficult for even these major players to come and say they are going to, be exploring from there, because anything can happen. They get kidnapped. Sometimes they get killed. So these issues are what I don't see like a sudden change. It's a pity that at this time there's this rallying. We can't benefit. People are cashing in now. Oil-dependent economies are cashing in billions.
Right.
They are cashing in billions. I had a report that we have some other projects abandoned all over the place in Nigeria that if, taken up and finished could bring up to around a 1.4 million barrels per day for us, which will just, get down to like saying between $150 million to $200 million per day. We imagine what that can do to us or do for us as a nation.
We need revenue.
We need revenue so much. That is even the crux of all the issues happening around the foreign exchange depreciation and stuff, is because of no inflow. But if we have exports, steady exports, where we can earn, forex, it will go a long way in solving so much of our problems. But we've not been able to be honest with ourselves to deal with our issues. People are cheating. People are robbing the government. The government is losing revenue from these bushes in those pipelines. People are there vandalizing, stealing, even refining. And these are people that have the mouth. When I mean have the mouth, people that cannot just be shut down. So there are people that have the power, that should be, people that should set good example.
Maybe the government should do more in protecting these pipelines. That would be a good start.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I won't say the government hasn't been doing a lot, but it's not easy. People get killed. People get killed. We will put all our security. You remember we have other issues of security we are dealing with.
Right.
It's not only pipeline. Yeah. Are we going to abandon the security of lives that's even inching in close to cities like Abuja? So it's really a big issue for us.
Security, securing the pipeline, securing lives and property.
And ensuring that we don't have those leakages, because those leakages are no more little, they are major. Right. And they are stopping us from benefiting from what is happening in the global oil. And
I'm talking about, bringing in more foreign exchange, into the country. I saw that our reserve, there was some accretion there. It got up to about a percentage point. Mm-hmm. And that's, happening at a time when there's also conversations about our reserve, capacity. Yes. Some are saying it's 30-something billion dollars. Others are saying it's about half that. Yeah. We still have all of that issue, but there's accretion right now.
There is, because, this oil price increase immediately will reflect. It's not really a major... It's not a major increase yet. Yes. And you know that with what is happening, this perception of inflation tapering down, global inflation, it's going to affect our exchange by pass-through effect of import. We always have imported inflation. If prices taper down, what is happening within the Black Sea region. There's, importation, at least they're beginning to bring in corn. And so there is that likelihood that the imported inflation we are experiencing or our import bill is going to reduce a little bit. And that is where this, increase is coming from, and then this small change positive change in oil price.
All right, so another issue now, the CBN Ways and Means hit 20 trillion. That's a new high in June. Should we be worried at this point?
We should be worried. We should be worried because it's one of the problems we have in this economy, where the central bank is funding the, deficit, the budget deficit of the federal government. CBN shouldn't, CBN should be more concerned with monetary issues, maintaining price stability, and allow all those other fiscal aspects. There should be a separation, because if everything is modeled up together, we're not going to get the best of it. Now we are having about 20 billion naira as ways and means. That is really, really ridiculous, because you need to understand that also this 20 billion is not part of our total debt.
That's 20 trillion, huh?
Trillion.
Yeah.
It's not part of our total debt. It's not part of the total debt we have. If we add it to the about 40-something trillion naira debt we have, that is going to be a very crazy figure we are seeing here. The thing is that there is a limit to the extent the federal government should borrow from CBN. There should be a limit. And now interest rates are going up. The cost of borrowing is going to also go up for the federal government. So I think that in reality, what we should be looking at is how to generate internal revenue. Instead of just borrowing, we borrow externally, we borrow within. In short, this ways and means of CBN, it operates in two ways, either by overdraft, or also like promissory notes, in like another form of glorified overdraft to the federal government. But what matters most here is the fact that the federal government is going to even experience higher cost of borrowing by reason of the interest rate increase by the MPC in recent times. So it's something that they should look into closely, because if you are pumping in more money into the system and you don't have a corresponding output growth, you're going to be fueling inflation the more.
Right, and July, we're supposed to get that July inflation numbers.
Yes.
What are you expecting?
Okay, for us in FDC, we are looking at, we still think that inflation rate will still inch up a little bit to like, let's say 9.7% or thereabout, because we can't just 19.7%. We're not just going to wish away inflation that way. Even though there's a little bit of change in what is happening in the global economy, there's supposed to be a time lag for exogenous events to be transmitted to domestic prices. So we're going to let that time lag wear out. Let's say for another month or two, the domestic price level might still go up. The inflation rate might still go up a bit, but by the third month, there might be a kind of tapering of but you understand that the official inflation rates might not be the real inflation rate.
Yeah, I remember we got that figure from the FDC for what the real rate would actually look like, which is quite scary at this point, because when you go to the supermarket, you're seeing, these incredible prices and, food
they're
prices
very incredible. And
really
it's just the food basket. It's still the same food basket we use and conduct econometric analysis, and we still see that it's not just that 19. You see very crazy figures if you twerk it as it's supposed to be, when you have to change your basket and work on some things.
Yeah, we need to work on those baskets at this point to get the true figure.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Juliet Adenuga, Head of Treasury Financial Derivatives Company. It was great having your perspective.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now, we're going to break now. When we come back, we take the conversation further. We'll look at job creation in Nigeria. Now, to the moment, to stay with us, this is Business Morning.